Hi. I wanted to have start another discussion, but this time about burnout, about self-care, and what that looks like, and the dangers of it. So, let's just dive in. First, I am not a mental health professional. Period, point blank. That being said, I did have to escape kidnappers in Russia, battle with PTSD during grad school at an Ivy League university. Then I did have a medical crisis that left me bedbound, all in the period of 2 years, actually a year and a half. I learned a lot from that time, just about how to take care of myself and my mind because that was truly all I had. So I would like to share some of that insight and some little resources so that way you can start that conversation with yourself and with your loved ones about how you can empower yourself so that way you can stay in this movement for the long haul. Let's dive in. So first, burnout. What is it? According to Psychology Today, burnout is a state of emotional, mental, and often physical exhaustion brought on by prolonged or repeated stress. So, we're going to talk about this in two communities. First community, the Black community. My Black brothers, sisters, and family members of all genders, we have been running this race since 1619. This burnout that you are feeling did not start with you. This burnout is generational, it is ancestral, and hopefully it is something that with actual change we cannot pass down to the next generation. My dearest allies, I know that a lot of you are very new to being 100% invested into Black rights and politics in this form. Welcome. That being said, because a lot of you are so new to this, especially to this degree, it wouldn't surprise me if you are new to also having to allocate the emotional space for the long haul. For the past couple of weeks, I think it's been about 2 weeks now, I've seen a lot of people, my very close friends, strangers even, giving 110% to this movement of just of their resources, of their time, hard conversations with family members and friends. Mind you, it's great, but being able to allocate all of that emotional time so that way it's not just an explosion, but so that way you can stay with us until we get federal change. Because these past 2 weeks have been great, but you can't die out now because we got a ways to go. Now, on to self-care and self-love. This is a great way to combat burnout, to just know your needs, be gentle with yourself, give yourself a little love, to empower yourself, to move on to the next day, the next rally, the next whatever it is where we need you at your 100%. Here are my 4 things. 1, speak. Now, I grew up first generation American from 2 immigrant families. Talking about what hurts you and what makes you sad is not a thing that we do culturally. This isn't just my family, this might be yours too. For my Black family, we need to unlearn that strong Black woman stereotype and that unbreakable Black man stereotype, because that prohibits us from speaking our pain. And that also allows these systems that have kept us in oppression to be like, oh, well, she said she's strong. She seems fine. He says he's fine. He's not upset. We're not doing anything wrong. It gives them that leeway. So simply saying, hey, this hurts, combats that head on. There was a study done that says a lot of medical professionals actually believe that Black people don't feel pain in the same way that white people do. It's wild. It's so ingrained into people's ideas of us that we don't hurt. So simply speaking that hurt attacks these systems, attacks these mentalities. So this is for my allies, and this is specifically about activism-based exhaustion and burnout. It is totally understandable that you are tired. It is totally understandable that you are exhausted and experiencing burnout. It is also important for you to speak your truth. Here's the thing. Don't tell your Black friends that you're tired, because I promise you it will not end well. We understand. We do understand. That being said, if you're like, oh, hey, maybe if I just sneak it in there in this conversation, just remember 1619. And then you won't do that anymore. Talk about it with your family. Talk about it with your allied community. Just don't come to us with how tired you are. Please. Stay blessed. Next thing is to learn your self-love language. Now, this book, a lot of you know it, a lot of you don't. It's totally fine. So this book is called The 5 Love Languages, and it took the world by storm. There are 5 different love languages, and they are quality time, acts of service, physical touch, words of affirmation, and receiving gifts. Oh, I'm so close. So all of these love languages can be applied externally, but they could also be applied inwardly towards yourself as a means of showing yourself love. I came across a post that was really helpful in breaking that down, and it is here. I'll also be posting a link to the original page where I found it on in my highlights and in the little thingy down description below. You know those words. There are a couple of things that I think that everybody should be doing on this list. One of them is therapy. Your friends are great. Your family is great. A professional is better. There's a huge stigma against mental health and against therapy in general in the Black community, and really big in the immigrant community, and really, really big in the Black immigrant community. There's this idea of mental health, self-care, taking care of the self is something that white people do. It's just not something that a lot of our very hardworking immigrant parents and grandparents had the opportunity to do, especially in their home countries. So it's a new language, it's a new experience for them. You take time for yourself. You go to therapy if you need it. Honestly, everybody should kind of be in therapy. You don't want to go to the doctor only if you have cancer. You have checkups, you have physicals. Have a mental health checkup just to see how you're doing, and then go about your life if you don't want to continue with it. So when it comes to therapy, not everybody has the finances to be able to pay a therapist at full price. So I would recommend sliding scale therapy. So depending on how much you make, certain therapists, therapist offices or clinics or whatever will say, okay, you make X amount. So because you make X amount, would you mind paying this reduced amount? If you are one of those people that likes to give yourself a little gift, just like buy yourself a little something, try not to buy on Amazon because it's a monster. And also buy Black. There are so many Black creatives and artists and skincare makers and makeup scientists, people. There's so many opportunities for you to buy Black. I have a list of a lot of them. If you have more suggestions, if you have more Black entrepreneurs that you would like to promote or would like me to promote, DM them to me. I will gladly promote them to the best of my abilities. But please, buy Black. 3, please monitor your social media input. Now, for my Black family, if you need to unplug. It is so traumatizing to just be scrolling through your Insta and all of a sudden you see another video of somebody that looks just like you, just like your mom, just like your cousin, dying. So if you need to unplug. On those same lines, when we hear the term self-harm, there are ideas that come to mind. What the conversation needs to also include is that overexposure to those kinds of images, overexposure to such violent, graphic racism, can also be a form of self-harm. If you find yourself going into that social media spiral of just looking for picture after picture after video and reposting them, and you find yourself not being able to stop staring at these images, you are probably performing an act of self-harm. And if you see yourself starting to do that, just turn off your phone. Just put it down, do something else. Watch the Great British Baking Show. Anything that's soft and kind. My allies, you can't unplug. I'm sorry, you can't unplug. We are unplugging because we are exhausted and drained and traumatized from seeing ourselves be subjected to such violence regularly. If we need a week or two to just be like, I need to not see dead Black people for a little bit. We need you to take the night's watch. We need to be able to trust you enough that you will not accidentally or intentionally slip into performative allyship. And then when we come back after having this time of self-care, when we come back, you will be gone. You don't have to look at all of the videos. You don't have to look at all of the beatings. You don't have to look at all of the police brutality, but you need to be able to stay up to date enough to know what is going on, how you can help. You need to be able to help, have the conversations so that way these events don't continue to happen. We need you to partner with us to prevent continuous violence against Black people. So unfortunately, saying, I'm just gonna turn off my phone for 2 weeks. Okay, last note. Check on your kids. If you have Black kids, you have probably already had the talk to some degree. For non-Black people who don't know what the talk is the police talk. The talk is what to do if you get pulled over, what to do if the police show up, how can you stay alive to the best of your abilities. Talk. When I say check on your kids, I'm not talking about that talk, I'm talking about the feelings talk. The same way that you deserve the space to speak your truth, your children deserve the space to speak their truth and their fears and their concerns and ask questions because they're probably really confused right now. If you're not sure exactly how to start, my recommendation, mind you, I don't have kids, but this movie really helped to start the conversation with one of my younger cousins. Watch Inside Out. Inside Out is a beautiful Disney Pixar movie that really opens the door to have a feelings conversation with kids in a language that they can understand. And also let them know that it's okay to cry. It's okay to be scared. All of these things that we as Black people have been told we cannot do, we should not do, cuts off our freedom of emotions and prevents us from living as fully and freely as non-Black people. That is also a recommendation for my allies that are having a hard time having this conversation with your kids. The feelings conversation. Inside Out. Strongly recommend it. Disney is not sponsoring this, but maybe you should. I think that's the camera. But also, for our allied parents of non-Black children, have the conversation about feelings and what they are experiencing, but also start taking the steps towards not being an inclusive parent, but being an anti-racist parent and teaching anti-racist principles to your child. Please start teaching your child about the systems that are in place that benefit them and how they benefit them and how they disadvantage other kids that just look differently than your child. And if you think, oh, this is a really hard conversation, I don't know how to start, this is going to be really uncomfortable, you got to do it. Tamir Rice died at 12. Aiyana Jones died at 7, I think. Both of them were killed by police. Your discomfort is a privilege. So you need to have that talk. Yeah. I think that's it. Yeah. Be safe. Be loved. Give it to yourself. Give it to others. Give it to your children because they need it and this country will be given to them. So we need to make it not trash. Okay. Goodbye now.